as Disney had announced Genie Plus would be going away and it would be replaced with this new Lightning Lane system that was very reminiscent of FastPass Plus and the way that it used to operate. And we had seen mixed reviews about what people have thought about this before it went into use. Well, yesterday on July 24th was its first day being implemented, and I found an article here on Pirates and Princesses kind of going over how this day went. And there's also some people on Twitter going to check out about their firsthand experiences using this new system and see what some of the reactions are to this. And genuinely curious because we were not in the parks to test this out, so I've been looking around, and this is really the first article I could find kind of talking about how the experience went other than just having pricing and things. So this does have pricing and it does have some reactions. And again, we're going to check out some stuff on Twitter here as well. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic, and we'll get into this article now. And this is from Pirates and Princesses, and it says Lightning Lane opening day pricing. Disney continues to bleed customers dry. Doesn't sound like they were big fans of this. It says Disney needs your money. While their film slate up until Q3 was a disaster and their streaming business is not yet profitable, they've been using the theme parks to offset losses. How? By squeezing customers for more money, taking free services, and making guests pay more and more for them. Now here comes Genie 2.0 called Lightning Lane. And they're really not wrong on that. If you look at the parks, 10 years ago, the parks revenue for the entire company was about 25% of their overall revenue. Now it is over 70%. And given, we've talked about many times on this channel, the losses with Disney Plus and the movie side has definitely fallen off. The parks have been basically bankrolling the entire company. And because of that, they've done, in my estimation, a lot of short-term maneuvers into basically trying to get the most money they can out of each guest so they can really up that revenue. I think this is sacrificing a lot of things in the long term, but in the short term, the parks are definitely trying to make up the difference between the what's been lost and you also think about too, Disney owns ABC, and that is slowly, traditional television is not making money like it used to, so a lot of these things have been fading off, and the parks have been basically making up the difference. The latest iteration of paid FastPass Plus launched today, and the prices are about what we expected. Like park tickets, these prices fluctuate depending on demand and crowd level. So some attractions that require a virtual queue can also be obtained for a price. Those attractions offer single Lightning Lane upcharges. So it says, how bad are the prices? Well, today, so basically at the day of launch, Magic Kingdom was $29. And that got you at least three initial, you have your three initial attractions, and you can add more throughout the day. Disney's Hollywood Studios was $26, Epcot was $21, and Animal Kingdom was $18. And the Lightning Lanes were $20 for Tron, $12 for Seven Dwarfs. You got $25 for Rise of the Resistance. So the highest it goes is $25. The lowest it goes is Flight of Passage in Animal Kingdom is $16, and that's per guest. So if you have a family of four, if you're wanting to ride Rise of the Resistance, that's $100 right there just to ride that ride. On top of if you get Genie Plus, if you get Lightning Lane, and if you're over in Hollywood Studios, that's another $100. So basically, if you're a family of four and you got Lightning Lane and you want to make sure you rode Rise of the Resistance, you're paying $200 extra total for your day. And they said this goes on top of the fact that the daily park ticket price for those price ranges, it's basically $139 to $164 per person. And they kind of go into some of the math here and basically just how much more expensive it is. So like, for instance, over here in Epcot tickets today cost $149 each. For a family of four, that would be $596 plus tax. Then add Lightning Lane price of $21 per guest, and now you are at $680. If you want to ride Guardians of the Galaxy, you can't get a virtual queue, and then if you can't get a virtual queue, an additional $68, basically $17 per guest, bringing your total to $748 for the day for your whole family before tax. It says prior to Genie Plus Lightning Lane, you would have paid $596 for the same service, and now it's almost $150 more. So, obviously talking about how it's upcharging for these things like that. It says this adds up. While all days won't be this high, come busier times like Christmas, they could be so much higher. And we'll go in. So this is just some of the pricing on that. And then we go over here on Twitter, and I thought this was an interesting post. So this is from an account called Doc Epcot, and they said this is their first-hand experience of using it as they had a trip. So people that were on trips right now when it switched over, you were using Genie Plus until yesterday, and then you would have switched over to this new Lightning Lane system, which meant you had to basically know how to use two systems on your vacation, which, it could be a bit cumbersome. So we're just going to go through what their experience was here. It goes, my experience with MultiPass on July 24th, the first day of implementation, But first, a little preface. July 23rd, I used Genie Plus like I have always in the past without issue. I always purchase the multi-park experience and spend the premium because we always do park hopper tickets starting at 12 a.m. I tried to purchase multipass and was refused. Then after multiple attempts at 12:30 early in the morning hours, I finally gave up and called it a night, knowing I would have to get up bright and early at 7 a.m. to begin the arduous process of rushing and booking out the rest of my trip, not knowing what availability would be afforded to me. Said I attempt to purchase multipass while there was availability at the time. I was frantically looking for a multi-park option like I had just purchased less than 24 hours before, but I could not find it on the page. It didn't exist. Unfortunately, I was unaware that multi-park was baked into the system. With one caveat, you have to use your first Lightning Lane in the initial home park before you can book one in a different park that you might hop to. Keep in mind that for a future point, it took Disney's chat service through their app 30 minutes to answer that single question this morning. I tried calling IT services from my resort telephone, but I was put on an extended hold. You think they staff up knowing it's a brand new system and there's going to be a ton of questions, but no, by the time the chat got back to me, I already confirmed via X it was built in, and now it was too late, and most of the Tier 1 and Tier 2 rides that I wanted to do were gone with zero availability for the later in the day. No drops that I'm aware of, no way to refresh to see if more came back online. Now, this is the issue, too, is like this and scenario is if you're on a trip and this new system takes place, like obviously this doesn't happen to everybody, but it puts a lot of onus on the guest to not only understand one system and there's a brand new system. And a lot of people pointed out that, and you'll see some of the comments that they'll be like, well, you didn't do your research. Well, the thing is about this whole system is I don't think you should have to do, all this insane amount of research just to go on a vacation to a theme park. I think that is part of this. And even for people that, this account is based on Disney, even they were unaware of some of the details on this. And again, if you're using Genie Plus and you have to get a multi-park, system, you would assume maybe you have to on this new system if you didn't do a bunch of research going into it. So we're going to read a few more here. It says, so I finally decide to acquiesce and purchase the service. None of the rides are available that we want to do, but there's still a few e-ticket and a few second-tier rides that were acceptable. Not our first choice, but acceptable. So right before you hit purchase, it says Mo Money, gives you your times, and here's another caveat about park hopping. The times it offered me for one of the second tier was 9:45 a.m. The second tier ride was almost 2 p.m. And the third Lightning Lane first tier ride was just before park close. Now, as a park hopper, if you can start booking Lightning Lanes at another park after your first use at your home park, what good is it at all if your last Lightning Lane in your home park doesn't begin until almost park close? By the way, this was for Disney Hollywood Studios, and the Lightning Lane was for Mickey's Runaway Railway at approximately 8:30 p.m. He says, I explained this point to the manager at Guest Services later on in this post, which she had no recourse for and just looked at me like a deer in headlights. Said, by the way, as I write this, I'm standing in the Tiana queue that I had come to Magic Kingdom for the 1 p.m. virtual queue drop. Mind you, we had no intention of coming to this park today until much later, as there's magic hours for deluxe resort guests, which we are part of. But the day got upended because of the system, and I had to physically come to the park to get this virtual queue. So keep in mind that of the hoops that Disney makes you jump through now as a guest, remember, all in the name of trying to have a magical fun time with your family on a very expensive vacation. And then they said, update, I am now on the monorail going back to my hotel. I had to pause writing this because we were in the Tiana queue for close to an hour. The ride shut down for technical difficulties and the queue was emptied. He goes, again, that Disney difference strikes again. I'm having so much fun, blah, blah, blah. So he basically goes on about how, basically Tiana shut down again, which is happening a lot again lately. So he goes on to say later on, I asked to see a manager. I'll withhold her name. I explain the entire situation to her respectfully, concisely, and calmly. I tell her we've spent tens of thousands of dollars with the company over the years. Not exaggerating. I probably could have sent one of my kids through college for the amount of money I've spent here, and I'm not gloating or exaggerating. I'm just telling the truth. Anyway, moving along, I explained to her that the inventory is less than desirable. We're here until Saturday, and virtually all of the inventory on the e-ticket rides are gone for all of the remaining days of our trip. We leave on the 28th. One of the rides we focused on was TBA. Tiana's Bayou Adventure, I think is what he says. She proceeds to use her Disney iPhone, tells me it's her personal account, checks for the 25th today for MultiPass, and lo and behold, Tiana's is there available for her. She stresses it's her personal account. I open up my app, I check, and lo and behold, every single e-ticket ride in Tier 1 is sold out. She looked surprised, calls over a plaid, another cast member, and said she'll be right back. Cast member and I talk, nice guy, and regrettably probably should have dealt with him from the beginning. He fully understood what was going on. Anyway, she goes back in the back, comes out 5 minutes later, and explains to me that she has told in the back by the IT the reason that happens is because we were both checking at the same time. I don't know. Okay. You can't make this up. I promise you that is what she told me. He goes, now forgive me. I couldn't help but start giggling, and I said to her, you do realize you and I are checking at the same time along with probably 10,000 more people out there, again, doing the same thing. I don't think that's a coincidence at all, ma'am. That's reality. The inventory is the inventory, and you proceeded to roll this out on guests who are mid-vacation instead of rolling it out as an option for future vacations. She finally proceeds to ask me respectfully, what is it I want from her? I then said, are you asking me that question? I paused and really thought about it. I said, okay, I'm prepared to spend upwards of $600 on your multipass in individual Lightning Lane system for the remainder of my vacation here. And what I would like from you is as follows. My choice for first and second tier rides for the system each day here on out. I stressed to her that I am not asking for something for nothing. I will gladly pay for it, but I just asked that inventory be added to my account to give me the tier 1 and tier 2 rides. Her response was that's not possible. That she was sorry, she can't do that. So the funny thing is her other employee was able to give me Pirates second tier and Space Mountain first tier. And he says, go figure. They absolutely can do it. They just didn't want to do it. And I think this is the thing that sums it up a little bit here. That's again, this is somebody who is currently on a vacation. It obviously has gone to the parks a lot. That you're not talking about just some person that's brand new to everything. Because their only recompense to me was a Space Mountain and Pirates Lightning Lane. That's it from guest services. That's it for the Disney difference. And that's it for me in Disney. This will be my last vacation in the foreseeable future. There are probably more fine details I can add to this post, but it really is overly long-winded, and I think I've made my point. Because Disney sucks. It's not the company it once was. It's sad, but it's true. They ruined it. They sucked the life out of it, the joy out of it. The magic is gone. The Splash Mountain unnecessary refurbishment is and just was a microcosm of things to come. The destruction of the Epcot core, the destruction of the Fountain of Nations, replacing it with a planter that looks like a certain thing, and still has stains all over the seat in the front. The list goes on, and I'm honestly mentally exhausted from today. We will finish the remainder of our vacation, and from here on, we will book with Universal's top-tier hotels to enjoy their Express Pass system, which is infinitely better. Here's to looking forward to Epic Universe. I may come to Disney in the future, but I will more than likely stay at a Universal resort for my entire week and maybe visit for an after-hours event here and there. That's about it. End of thread. I hope I didn't wear you out reading. And this is obviously from somebody who was going through it at the moment, and they're very, I don't know if I'd say emotional, but they're feeling a lot of the frustration in that moment, and this thread was very much that. But you can go through Twitter, X, and find multiple of these as of yesterday about people that are just, Disney-centric accounts that are very frustrated with the way Disney has been operating and continues to operate with this. And I think we're seeing with Epic Universe around the corner, and obviously Universal's becoming much more of a competitor in other, regional theme parks and cruising and other vacation destinations. I think we're just starting to see a lot of people that even are in the Disney bubble that have, and like this person here that has spent tens of thousands of dollars going to Disney. I mean, they even said they could have probably put a kid through college for the amount of money they've spent over the past, probably 10, 20 years going to Disney. So you're not dealing with people who are just occasional park goers. You're dealing with people who are in it. They love going. They even have a Disney-centered, Twitter X account that are basically just being like, okay, I'm out of it. I can't do this anymore. I just think you're going to hit this point where people are just basically tapping out when it comes to Disney and looking at alternatives. And it's really sad. I really do wish, I think competition is good. So I think Epic Universe and Universal and other theme parks doing things that they're doing will eventually make Disney adjust and maybe get back to the ways in which they used to operate, much more guest-centered. And those are things that, personally speaking, that we want. We have a show that covers another show that covers the best tips and tricks and how to navigate the parks. And it is becoming increasingly, more difficult over the years, and you have to be on your phone so much. They just need to get more simplified, get back to basics, get back to the guest experience. And, in my opinion, I think they potentially would probably make more money if they didn't have this Lightning Lane system where they're upcharging for, basically the Fast Pass system. because I think a lot of people would probably spend more money on food and merchandise and things if they weren't already spending, potentially over $100 per day right off the bat. And yeah, they can show that as a revenue for a lot of things that they like to look at on the accounting side. But I think in terms of the way the guest feels and are they willing to come back on the next vacation? I think that's the thing too, is a lot of people spend all this money on a vacation, and I don't think they necessarily feel the best about it. Like this person here, they're already saying they're not going to come back for things here and there. In the long term, yeah, Disney has made money, and like he said here, they're paid $600 for this system. Are they going to make any more money in the future off this person because they're so frustrated? And those are the things I think that start affecting them in the long term, because if this stuff was included and you had Magical Express and you got more guest centric again about things, maybe they spend more than $600. But let's say they spend $500, but they come back next year and the year after that, and each time they go, they spend $500. You're making more money per guest versus just trying to squeeze every ounce you can out of every guest that walks through. And eventually there's a lot of people that they remember how it was, because it wasn't that long ago, it was not that way. And now it is this way, and there's alternatives. And I think a lot of people are just saying, I as of right now, I'm done. And I don't know if these people are saying they'll never come back. I don't know if that's the case for a lot of these people. I think a lot of people are just basically saying, like, at the very least, I'm going to pull back and try some other stuff. And I think that's going to start hurting Disney a lot. But that's going to do it for this video. If you like this video, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage of Epic Universe, Universal Studios, Disney World, and pop culture news. And let us know in the comments if you've used this new Lightning Lane system, or do you plan on using it, and what do you think about it? So until next time, we will see you in the parks.